Okay, welcome everyone. Sorry I'm slightly late today, a bit behind on my orders. I was signing someone up last night. I'd gone to bed, which is why I missed Chance's call. I know Samantha was going through TradingView last night, and I missed it because it's someone I've been chatting to for a while. We've been friends on Facebook for 7 years and they've never liked or commented on any posts, but anyway, they just wanted to join. So they said, I need to, and I want to fast track and go live next week. So I said, fine, we can work on it over the weekend. So we got started last night with a broker account, demo account. We took a demo trade on USD JPY in Asian session. And he said, oh, I'm impressed. You know, that's amazing how quickly you did the analysis. And I said, well, normally I wouldn't do it this quickly. This is for demo purposes. Anyway, it did do 20 pips. So we made enough for 2 beers. So he was well chuffed with that. So that's quite good fun. So this weekend we'll be doing more on his watch list, setting up the pairs, TradingView, and I've shown him in around the Ninja Forex group, traders group. So let's start sharing and see what we've got today. We probably won't have any trades because the whole market, as you can see, as Simon's just said about non-farm payroll, we've got all this red flag. So this afternoon, the euro and then Canadian dollar and US dollar with the biggest event of the month for the May unemployment figures. It's coming in June because it's just the way the bank holidays and the ends of the month have fallen. So, and in fact, next week you can see Tuesday, nothing on Monday, but OPEC meetings all day, which makes us a little bit cautious because although you don't get timed announcements, you can get someone coming out of the meeting and making a statement to the press or saying something. And of course, it's oil, which is one of the big contentious global supply and demand issues at the moment with America, Russia, Iran, China. Is it China? Well, you know, anyway, all that good stuff. Not China, is it? Saudi Arabia. Wednesday, more US dollar next week. And FOMEC, that's banking policy stuff. So a lot next week as well. Nothing at the end of the week. So and that's on US dollar there. Oh, bank holiday. Oh, that's Sunday. Okay. So if we just have a look at some of the pairs, then I might go over to the scanner. If there's anything specific we'd like to chat about or ask about on indicators, TradingView, confirmations, entries and exits, trends, you know, please ask for different pairs. So that's just sort of chilling out on the on that pitchfork there. It's saying sell, really. You've got it under the 62, under the quarter theory, and but as I said, we've got red flag news. So 11, that has broken and retested back to the 10 pips on that one. I just don't feel that comfortable trading today, and I don't like it if I feel a bit twitchy because it's not a good attitude to have when you're approaching entering a trade. And I'm sure it's just because of non-farm payroll tomorrow and seeing that everything's been consolidating quite a lot. But we'll just see what this. So we've got a trend down here, but the overall trend has been. I'll ignore that wick up to the test of the 62. Oh, I'm on the 5 minute. Let me come to the 15 minute. So that was, I haven't looked at the scanner today for new scans. So there's that D point, worked its way. Hang on a minute, I need to switch back on. It's come out of this scan, which is these faded white lines. So it's still going up. So to the pip, it's touched the pitchfork there, come down through quarter theory, rejected off, then break through back down to the pitchfork. The orange crossed the blue, so strong buy momentum since the start of the D point. Chilled out testing the 52 and dropped down to test quarter theory, stalled out there along that pitchfork. That probably was news there, that fast up. As fast as it goes up, it can come down just as fast. And then those extensions are on this pitchfork it's moving into. Sorry if it's a bit confusing. I try never to have two lots of pitchforks going on at the same time, because your brain just gets completely addled. So I'll fade out this white one, but you could just see it came through the extensions, back down to test the 62, slipped through to come to test quarter theory, but was that on the hour? No, that was on the half hour, but maintained its upward momentum, retesting the 62 and staying above. So once it had down here, once you've got that break in the retest of the pitchfork and above the 62, and if you've got two confirmations, you probably are able, I'm on the 15-minute, remember, able to find a third, then you would have been fine staying in that whilst it stayed above the 62, right up to that quarter theory. At that point, you might have thought about taking you would have had 50, 75 pips. So 1 to 5, 1 to 7 risk to reward. You might have thought about taking your profit, and then it did slip below back there. So whether you would have wanted to have stayed in with it having reversed on you that much, I know I wouldn't have probably still been in it. I know I'm trying to be more confident with swinging the trades longer more often. It just takes a skill, doesn't it, to sort of think, is it still in its upward momentum as it is here? Because it did slip through quarter theory for quite a while, because I'm on the 15-minute, and then did carry on and then slipped there. Now that is an hourly candle here, just about there. So there's a bit of a fake out, I think, going on there, and then another full 50 pips to the top, but now it's coming back under the so I'm going to turn off this pitchfork. It seems to have moved out of this. I'll just fade that so I can still see it. And now it's come under the 62, and it's coming back down to this quarter theory and these extensions here. So sorry, I've just forgotten. But the problem with, it's no USD news this afternoon, but the problem is, how much are we going to see on movement given non-farm payroll tomorrow? I mean, it just worries me about getting into trades, because there's nothing worse apart from it hitting your stop loss, being stuck in a trade for hours where it's just sidling along. I lose patience and I end up closing out, even if I've lost a few pips, because I just think, I certainly don't go to sleep at night when I'm stuck in, if I'm stuck in something, which is why I don't trade late New York into the evening towards close, because of spreads and commissions and not wanting to be stuck in anything. It's not my style of trading. I like that bang, quick in and out as much as possible on that 1 minute. So that's USD JPY. I'm going to close that one. I won't come back to that. NZD USD, look at that, absolute torture, being stuck in that and that's all the way. So it made a move yesterday in New York, and then from 4 o'clock, as we know, New York moves mostly between 2 and 4 p.m. That's UK time. Sorry, Brian, I'm not very good at thinking about other time zones. And then it's been chilling out. Oh my God, look at that. Who'd want to be in that? So that's nothing on. I'm going to write these down, so I need to remember what we've been through. NU. So NU, nothing. Euro, well, of course, we've got red flag news, and that's what Simon's just been telling us. Now, I had so many pitchforks on this, but I chose this purple one, and I've got quite a few running through here. And I don't think there's any point in us analysing it. I'm not going to go back through. I think we'll keep the pace up today because of the state of the markets. Just have a chat and look at why things are happening. So anyway, I picked the purple one, and I've got two that running through, and it's that one. So I'll just highlight this a bit more. Oh, that is up on full. Change it to bright pink. so we can see it better. So there's current price on that pink pitchfork, and it's made that very fast news-driven move up. So it's Oren Wright teaches this one where I've probably had about 50% success on it. He does a thing where you can where price will normally come back to 50% of that news candle from start to finish if you put a fib on it. So I haven't done that for ages because sometimes I've been successful and sometimes it hasn't gone back to the 50%. So that's Euro USD and red flag news today. So it's kind of shooting all over the place. So we don't want to do anything on that one. Just let that come out. Again, Euro, NZD, EN, very fast pair anyway. Now, one thing I did notice about the news, following Chance's news strategy, where you get the fake out 1 minute candle before the actual timed news event, it didn't actually fake out the other way, which was quite interesting. Not that he does that news strategy with us these days. I do look at it, but I don't tend to trade it on my own. And he has got some pairs that he say are good for news more than others. I've got one written down. I can't remember which one it is. I've got it on my list. If anyone wants it, I have to read the list. So at the moment, what can we see? Well, it did its news move up. It's still going up, and it's now cleared quarter theory. But you know, I don't get into situations like that where I think, oh well, it's still going up, because you can see there's not a lot of volume on the candles. Why take trades that you're not, you know, you're betting, aren't you? It's a gamble, so no point at all in getting involved in it unless you're actually trading the new strategy, which is a specific thing. So that's EN. What else have I got open? GBPAUD, that crazy pair. Let me just see if I can get quarter theory to settle down. So we have got a sell. You see, I say we've got a sell here with the confirmations, but you know, how much are things actually going to move? So what have we got here? We've got, I don't know if we've even got a 10 pip break and retest of that pitchfork. Oh yes, we have. That's done 16. But it's in this price trap between quarter theory and the pitchfork. So what I like about those situations is when price has to make a decision, but normally when the wedge is going the other way, because here the wedge is widening. So you can see how the volume has decreased. It could decide it's just going to sit and do nothing all the way through there, because GBP, as you know, is London and AUD is Tokyo. So we've got confirmations off the pitchfork. We've got a 16 pip break and retest. We have it broken below quarter theory, and we have the orange cross beneath the blue. So you could say, well, that's great, let's get in this for the sell. Well, no, I'm not getting in it for a sell, because I don't like this wedge situation at all. It could just decide it's going to consolidate. And if we look from start of New York and take a rectangle, and we'll ignore that spike. So if we do it from there over to here and just take that down. So I do use a rectangle to say, well, how much is price moving? And at its widest, it's only doing 16 pips. And so even if you add it on the wicks, it's ranging now in 20 pips. So although you've got 3 confirmations, you know, you have to look at the situation and make a judgment. And that, to me, is definitely a no trade situation because of those barriers. And you can see the volume on the candle. It's not, it's faded out. So that's GA. Let's open something else. Maybe stay off the USD pairs and euro for the moment. Well, we can talk about this one. because I was trying to swing things more, as you know. It did go for, so normally, absolutely my style of trading, but I'm trying to swing things more often. As soon as it gets down to that 35 pips there, that was the first rundown that I was in, and I got in there, and I've left this up to go through it with you. Normally, bang, I'm out the trade because I've bagged the money. That's 1 to 3.5, good enough for me. I didn't do that, as you know, from yesterday on this occasion, because I said, okay, then I've marked these other levels. How far can I stretch this trade? So then we get into a situation which I was quite comfortable in. I hadn't put full lot size on or anything. So that is now 3 hours later, and it went down to the 45 pip mark. So I'd have been stuck in that for another 3 hours for another 10 pips because I'm thinking I can swing it down. Then the phone rang, messenger. So one of my business, sort of informal business partner, came in for a chat, so that's quite a priority for me. I looked at it just as it was hitting to the pip, hitting that pitchfork. The thought crossed my mind, close out the trade, Sarah, as Chance said, because he went through this on one of the calls yesterday. And I didn't, because I thought, no, stick with what you think your strategy is, just carry on, see if it is going to push through. And I think the mistake I made is that those are the extensions of that scan. And when I marked these profit levels, I was looking at thinking it was going to carry on dropping into this old scan. So it pinged off the extensions. They did their job like Bollinger Bands, like a boomerang. They pinged price back into the scan. I had set my stop profit down here. I'd left it over here from having room to breathe, whatever my thinking was. So, of course, I got stopped out at 16 pips, and I could have had 35 and not waited that for another 3 hours and then got another 10 pips. Well, I wouldn't have been too uncomfortable with that. But the phone rang or the messenger went off just at that time. I looked at it and I had to make that split moment decision. So what I should have done, watching Chance's call last night, is just said to that person, hang on a minute. And I should have just brought my stop loss down quite tight, at least at 25 pips, which would have given me my daily target. And then I could have carried on the call, seen if I'd been able to have built up my experience of swinging trades. But I wasn't very happy with the result of that anyway. But, you know, I learned a lesson. Number one, I stick to what my gut feeling usually is, which is closing out over there. Or number two, if I had stayed in and it pinged off there, thought and had the rationale about the fact that those are extension points. And I think I was slightly distracted by the phone call, because if I had sat and stared at it, I know that thought process would have gone through and I would have got out at that 45 pips. So no damage done, but a lot of work. And this is the point about the charts, isn't it? We're coming to it for our work. I've put my time in and I want my money out. I wanted that 45 pips, not 16 pips. That's a significant difference. So I'm not going to make that mistake again, I hope. I don't think so. So let me just tidy this up while we're here.
It did actually, if obviously you wouldn't have left your stop at that, but if you'd had your original stop loss, it would have actually hit your target, wouldn't it? It then came back down.
Oh, do you know what? I didn't.
So your analysis was spot on. It's just, unfortunately, as you say, it bounced off that extension of the pitchfork.
Yes, but then to have stayed in,
yeah, you'd had to have left your stop loss right minus 10 pips or whatever, which you probably wouldn't have done.
No, so because the rule that he teaches us is after it's moved 10 pips, put it to 1
move
pip.
To break even.
And I do always stick to that because I don't like the stress of not doing that. And so a 1 to 3.5 or a 1 to 4.5, or to have stayed in it all that time and to have risked all that loss, I wouldn't have traded like that. I wouldn't have done that. But I see what you're saying about what he teaches us is that
1930. You could have entered again at 1930 when it came back.
Yes. So
this is all speculative, Sarah. No one would necessarily do this, but just examining the charts.
Yes, I would have got in. This would have been an entry. So rejection off the pitchfork under the 62, and it clears quarter theory. So how many pips is that? You would have got your 20 pips there. That's an entry for the sell there. Yeah. That's where I would have got back in, but I wasn't then following it then after
No, I know.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't see a buy. I can't see a buy.
Sell.
I can see another sell, but I can't see a buy there.
Yeah, I was talking about a sell at 1930 the day before. Just as it
that
came
trade, Sarah, if you continued it like you're discussing here, would have went past the end of New York close into the next day.
Oh yeah, well I would never have got involved in that, so that's a very good point. What here? 1930 for the sell.
Yeah, as it bounced off the pitchfork and through the 62 EMA.
Yes, yeah, nice little sell there. Yeah.
That would have been the perfect, but again, it wouldn't be the time we'd be trading, but again, just doing a bit of back testing.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's a good one as well. I love the way he goes through how many trades you can get off the pairs, and I love the way he goes through just because that one didn't work out for you on your confirmations, the very same setup. He did, Brian will remember, I think he was on that same session yesterday, the very same setup, can't remember which pair it was, further down, 3 hours later, it did do the full move. Object tree, let me just
I think that's one of the big learnings, isn't it? When it gets to 10 pips, like I've moved a few 10 pips, moved it to break even, and then it comes back and takes you out, and then you don't have the confidence to go back and re-enter again.
Exactly.
Whereas he'll go in 2 or 3 times, and very often you'll get your 10 pips again, and it'll go to break even. But it's having the confidence and your conviction to say, yes, I have got this analysis right.
It is difficult, and I felt that this morning about Euro USD, and I kept vacillating over it, and I was thinking to myself, just don't even get involved in it, because you're just in the wrong frame of mind. You're not approaching it as you don't go onto the, like he says, you don't go onto the sports field thinking, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to get kicked around today. Oh, never mind, I'll go and play anyway. You go onto the sports field when you feel fully fit, fully armed, and fully dangerous, don't you? So, I think it's important to pay attention to one's moods. Let me just tidy this up.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Connor, I joined quite late. I'm not too sure when it worked, but I don't know if you looked at EuroCAD yet. I've got it set up in the 263 EMAs that just crossed. And it's just about a pitchfork and a quarter theory. It might break through. I've got a live settlement.
Okay, great. Let's go and look at that then. Let me just tidy up. Oh, except I could have kept this for Friday's special session, but never mind. I'll remember what it's about. Let me just save that, and EuroCAD, which I do like that pair a lot. Oh, that's slow to move, come on. So we've got a strong upward momentum, which is the result of the news, and it's now rejected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times off pitchfork and quarter theory. So potentially coming down for the sell. So we've got conflicting information here, because one of our confirmations, the 62 crossing above, is saying buy, but all this rejection across both the pitchfork and quarter theory, which, as Connor knows, is one of my favorite setups for a trade, a nice double barrier to protect you against being taken out. Those are both saying sell with, so this is a sell. That's got.
I was thinking, if it breaks through and retests the 10 pips, would that be a good opportunity to buy?
Sorry, if it breaks through what?
If it breaks through that now, the pitchfork and the quarter theory.
What, going up?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it will break through, because look at all those rejections, and that spike is caused by news. Normally we don't trade at least 30 minutes. Chart says 30 minutes, but sometimes we say an hour either side of news, because you let the market settle back down. Now, the other thing Oren Wright teaches, which you may have missed, Connor, if you came on a bit late, is he teaches that you take a fib off that news spike, and price will normally want to come back down to the 50%. So here's another pitchfork crossing through. If I was going to do anything with this now, I'd be selling it. If you are following Oren Wright's news strategy, I'll just highlight that this is a pitchfork, this green one, an old pitchfork coming through, and it's dropping fast. So if I put a, I think you put the, let me put the fib on from here, and you put it down, I think it's just down to that one, not that furthest one. It's where news actually starts. So if you'll want to retrace back to this line here below that pitchfork is what, but I haven't had 100% success following that strategy, but that's what I would be doing with it, if anything. 14 pips to that old pitchfork of mine and 20 pips down to the 50% line off the start of the news strategy. So we can, you know, if you want to put that on demo, or if, you know, very low lot size, if you want a very low lot size, a micro lot, if you want to test the strategy on how Oren Wright teaches it. So the price currently is 1.5186, and the pitchfork line is, oh sorry, the old pitchfork line is 1.51690, and the 50% is 1.51616. That's what I would be doing with it. But I probably don't trade that way so much now, particularly on a live account. I'm not sure, because as I say, sometimes I've done that successfully and sometimes I haven't. The MTFA, the hull is still saying green on the 15-minute band, but as we know, it's a lagging indicator. On the 1 minute, that little red line, it is coming down. So it'd be nice to see price come under that 62 and for the 15-minute hull to turn to red. Yeah, so it's about context, isn't it? Because although we've got that strong buy signal, absolutely correct. And yes, if it broke through up here and carried on, we'd be buying. But we know that news spikes the market, obviously, and bankers do what bankers do, the big boys. And we've had all those rejections for, it's stalled out, it can't break through, it's stalled out for 30 minutes, so it's not breaking through, but it is a fast pair. So we can come back to that one. Let's have a look at so we could have a look at some of the other GBP fast ones, maybe. We got GN. Not doing anything at all. It's rejected off the pitchfork and the quarter theory. It's testing the 15-minute. It's just ranging. It's doing nothing whatsoever at the moment. And there's a quarter theory there. So it looks like it's slowly moving up. If we come out to the 15-minute to look at the trend, see what it's in at the moment. So that scan D point is from the 2nd of June. So very fast pair. This came all the way, completed the scan through the extensions, dropped 100 pips. That's probably news. Right down to quarter theory, rejected off that. Back up to the extensions, doesn't like that, back down to the next quarter theory, and now respecting that pitchfork perfectly and rejecting off quarter theory. So it looks to me like it's trying to turn round, but I wouldn't get involved in that until it comes above this quarter theory and above the 62 and comes back into these extensions. And I haven't, as I say, I haven't looked at the scanner today to see what new scans, if any, that there are.
There hasn't been really anything since last night there, Sarah.
Oh, has there not? Right.
No, because on Brian and Ann's call, they were doing 25 to life last night, and they couldn't find a good harmonic scan to work with.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I suppose that's because of non-farm payroll. There's not these huge movements at the moment. So rejection off quarter theory, rejection off the pitchfork above the 62. How many pips have we got between this leg? Oh, it's a huge scan. So in that case, you can think about taking quarter theory trades. Once it comes up and breaks this level, if you have enough confirmations, something like a fib or a channel touch. You won't see me drawing channel touches very much because I just don't trade with them. I just haven't used them very much. I know Samantha uses them a lot, but I tend to use the 1 minute break and retest of the 1 minute trend. So look at this one for a buy. It's a fast pair at 1.9550 GN, possible buy 955.
Rule again.
Sorry?
Can you just run through that, what you just mentioned about the pitchforks? If there's a large gap between the pitchforks, you can still enter a trade, did you say?
Yes, as long as you've got your 3 confirmations, because you're left in the middle of the ocean with nothing to do for 100
right.
pips. So
Right.
you've got to then use your quarter theory. So the rule that Chance has given us is use your quarter theory or other confirmations, but quarter theory in particular, if it's a big scan where it's over 60 pips per leg, i.e. scan of 240.
Right. 60 pips. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So this particular scan is back from, it's that green one, 14th of May. And I'll just check that it hasn't glitched. It hasn't glitched, so I did have the padlock on. And it's 350 pips. So that's 4 nines are 36, so 90 pips per leg. So that's what we're working off there. But I can see another scan back there. There's quite a lot of scans on this one, but it does seem to be respecting that one. I could have a look where that purple, I can see it back there. Sorry, it's going to end up a bit messy for this. I just want to see how old, because, oh no, that's right up there. That's no good. That can come down again. So I think I did turn back on all my scans, but I can't see anything other than an upward scan. There, that's that one. So I don't think I've got anything else that far down. So that's why I put the green one on at the moment. So nothing on EN till it hits that quarter theory point. Sorry, GN. Save that. Right, let's look at the next one. GCAD. Another fast pair. Canadian dollar is in session. That must have been from Chance's session. I didn't take that trade. And just, where's the quarter theory gone? Put it on the 5 minutes, see if it switches, just not switching on. Slow. Oh, there we are. It's funny, isn't it? I can't, if I don't have that on, I can't get my bearings. So I'm on the 5 minute. So it came up, rejected off quarter theory and the pitchfork. And, oh, that's right. I think we were looking at it to hit up there, but it didn't hit further down. Let's see if quarter theory stays on. Just have a look and see what happened with that one for analysis. So that must have been my session yesterday, thinking about what it was, and the quarter theory's gone off again. Annoying thing. Let's draw a line, get it on a line. So 1, 7. There it is. Settings. Probably come on now. So I'll put it in orange because that's what we're used to looking at. So that's our quarter theory there, and then there'll be another one 5 further up where that pitchfork is. So there's another quarter theory just sat up there. So we were waiting for it. Was it going to do? I can't work this one out. I can't work out why I've done that up there, whether I was looking at another pitchfork that I now haven't got on, because that's a line saying pitchfork, break and retest or above it. And why can't I see a pitchfork there? Or maybe I was looking at quarter theory. I've forgotten now on this one. So that's why, because it's such a big scan as well. So it's a big scan, so we're looking for it to reject off the, was it going to reject off quarter theory and come up to the pitchfork? The answer is no, it didn't do that. So we'll remove that. And then what did it do? So it made a move. That's the break and retest there. So you would have had to have stayed in it. Well, that's okay, I think. If we move that down to the pitchfork, down to the quarter theory, it's getting slightly below. So 15 pip stop loss. Oh, I've slipped that. It is down there, so it made its move down here. So you've got your break and your retest off quarter theory on this big scan, and then as it comes below the 62, that's where you wanted to get in. And then if you did that on this big scan, so this is a perfect example of the rules that apply on a bigger scan. We've got it did 20 pips, just about. My zoom's making it a bit slow. It did 20 pips there, and you could have stayed in because it sucked back along the 62, which is a rolling line of support and resistance. So price will do that. Slipped back up a bit, but that's on the hour. If you look at the timestamp, we are coming into late New York though, so probably I would have been out. I would have been out for the trade. I wouldn't have liked to be trading that late into market close. Came down to about 25 pips, tested the 15, carried on down through that Sydney, the dead zone, and came down finally to the pitchfork at the opening of Tokyo. Why it was moving then for GCAD, I don't know, but that was the final move. But I would have, if it had been me trading at that time, coming into late New York, I would have just taken the 20 pips and gone. But you did get a nice little move down there, as we discussed yesterday. That did work out. Don't know if anyone's got any questions on that. Feel free. So that's GCAD, and at the moment, oh well, here's a potential setup. Although, oh yeah, I suppose Canadian dollar might not be so affected by non-farm payroll. So we've got the 62 has crossed above the 15-minute. It's now coming up to break above quarter theory. We can put a trend line on this to see that it stays above the right side of the 62. If it slips through and breaks this trend line, then it's failing, so you wouldn't want to get in. And in fact, what it's doing now is it's rejecting a lot of, I'm sorry about the glitches on this quarter theory, that's trading view doing that. There it is. So it's not like in quarter theory, it's just stalling out between the two, and that well could cross back down. So again, it's between this pitchfork and the quarter theory. But if it got above that and got away, then potentially you've got a trade, because it is Canadian dollar is in session, and GCAD is a fast pair. So again, it's just stalling there. So you'd be looking at, put your slider bar on, sorry, press the wrong one. You'd want it above, you want to, you know, you want it to clear, you want the 62 to be above quarter theory. So you'd be looking at your 50 pips up to quarter theory there as your take profit level. We could see if a fib works on this, see if that's a rejection point. And GCAD is fast, but at the moment it's not doing very much. But as we know on my sessions, we do tend to get this, you get a feel for the market, don't you? So end of London, the first hour of New York, which is when I'm doing my trading with you guys, we do get this, but we get the setups for what we think is going to happen between 2 and 4 p.m. UK time. So we'll see if a fib works. So it's a, we'll take it from that low point there up to that one. Does that work? No, that doesn't work. And that's too near to price. So I haven't got a fib on that. So nothing working for us there on that. It hasn't done a reversal back. We'd want it to come back, wouldn't we, if we were using fibs? So that's not working for us. There's no other fib that we can use there. So you've got, and here it's breaking, it's doing the break of the 1 minute trend. So it's definitely falling back. So there's the break and retest, so it's falling back. So nothing on that at the moment. So that's GCAD. Low chart layout, what should we look at before we go? Which other ones have we got on the GCAD? GCAD, GN, GJ, Japanese yen, Tokyo session pair, GJ, GBP London. I was demoing our lovely Ninjacator. Oh, what's happened down there? Oh, it's because I was showing someone where that was. Nothing here. It's come below and tested the pitchfork. It's rejected off quarter theory. It's that again is not doing nothing. On GJ and haven't looked at GA, have we? There, don't think we did. We look at that? Maybe I didn't. Oh yeah, we did look at this. Sorry. Break and retest off the pitchfork. This is a very fast pair. Come above, right above quarter theory to almost test the 15-minute, and done its break and retest below the 62, broken away from quarter theory. So we're a bit late to come into that now, and it's a very volatile pair. So that is selling, but it's not a US session pair. But too late to get into that because it's off the pitchfork. So you've not got your strong boomerang effect, but that we just go back and see what levels it reached before. So look how it's that these zones are the same. So it may well stall out here. It's stalled out back there as well. So that would put me off. And anyway, I wouldn't get into it there, as I say. And there as well, all in a similar zone. And I can see it's just come through an old pitchfork there. You probably can't see it. So no trade on GA. And how are we doing for time? Last 4 minutes, if anyone's got any questions, and I'll check the chat. I'll just look at one more pair. CAD JPY. Canadian dollar. Japanese yen. Oh, that's an old one. So we've got a sell here. We've got the orange never really crossed above. It has been staying below. It's below quarter theory, and it's done a break and a retest off that pitchfork. But let's see how many pips it's broken and retested. 14 pips, and it's coming up to test that 62. But the warning sign is look at that wedge. So I wouldn't want to get into that until it clears this pitchfork again, but that's a potential sell in case it decides it's consolidating and trapping us in that wedge, that price trap there. So I'll put those figures on for us to keep an eye on. So you'd want to cover your quarter theory. So you need I like to cover the quarter theory, so you do need a bigger stop loss, which normally I wouldn't do unless it's GBP pairs. So entry point at 80.370 and take profit at 80.170, which would be 20 pips, down to the quarter theory at 80.000, which is 35 pips. At the moment it's testing that, but don't think about getting into it unless you've drawn your 1 minute trend or seen that it's cleared this, and look at the time of day. But I quite like the look of that for a sell, and if you're comfortable with risking a 15 pip stop loss, because you know, you would ideally like those two barriers. So I think that's it for the day. That's all I can see today. I hope that's been good. And I'm just going to stop. Just going to check the chat. Has Chance written down all of these rules? So far I found the confirmation checklist. No, it's just the confirmation checklist, but that's a nice idea, Brian. I'll compile some notes of these things like larger scan. You can take a quarter theory, times of day. That is a good idea. I like that, so I will do that. Simon, not I've seen Brian. I've picked up a few extra rules by watching some of his previous videos. Yeah, but only been doing this for 2 weeks. So still very early days. Sarah has a lot of experience in strategy, so may well have these extra rules written down. Not yet, but I will, Simon. Do that this weekend. One example is not to enter a trade 10 minutes before the hour. Yeah, I always stick to that. I've heard Sarah say that a few times. Yeah, that's right, because of the fake out. These sneaky bankers trying to trap us into messing with our heads, thinking we've made the wrong decision. Nice to see you, Julie, Emmanuel, John, Eric, Steve, Kevin, Kaya. Nice to see you, Kaya. Love your craft work. Hello, Mark. And remember, Julie, I'm here this weekend if you want to do anything.
Yeah, I will. I'll get with you.
Yeah,
I was
whatever.
thinking maybe,
Just saying, the offer's there. Yeah.
I will do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, then I'm going to stop the recording.